Well, hello. Stay on. All right. I'll take a look at some stuff I got for $3. Some of it's, well, a lot of it's from today. This is not. I got these skizzers for free. I still need to clean them off. I think somebody was using them for trimming. But use that. Got this here, cigarette for free. Half cigarette. So I'm gonna smoke it. I paid 75 cents for this grape soda, but I found the 75 cents in the change return at the transit center. So technically I didn't earn it. So $3. Great. What's up, Christian Carpenter? Good to see you. You got to look for them. They're out there. Well, you don't get the free dollars, but you get the thing that you usually spend the dollar on, 75 cents as it were. It's a bottle of vodka left behind by a transient who was getting arrested yesterday. So figured he didn't need it. He tossed it. So I confiscated it before the cops could get to it. It's my job. This shot glass came with a much more expensive bottle of vodka that I also got for $3. It was a birthday gift, you know. So salute. And I found these books. A new used Bible, nice little handy, kind of smaller version, New World Translation of the Scriptures. Got the little map in the front. It's even got like a name in there, Darrell. But they left it on the street, so I imagine they didn't want it anymore. And I don't know if they intentionally folded those pages to mark passages or just got a little creased. But either way, it's intact and a little worn. And I got this Bible almanac. Oh, they're all covered in like cat hair or something. Understanding the World of the Bible by Anna Tremieux, consultant Gary Burge, PhD. Introduction. The Bible is a compelling book filled with drama, action, emotion, and inspiration. Wow, what a way to start that one, huh? Readers everywhere are guided, encouraged, and fascinated by its message and by the sheer variety of information within its pages. The Bible is the world's all-time bestseller, and its truths have been passed on from generation to generation. Although people are attracted to the timeless stories and the universal questions that the Bible answers, its setting is unfamiliar to most of us. Even a quick look through the pages of the Bible makes it clear that we are plunged into a world that is very different from our own. Its clothes, customs, and family patterns are unlike ours, and we are unaccustomed to the ancient world of work and worship. Yeah, it's a McCormick quadruple distilled from American grain. I've never heard of McCormick vodka. It's like the spice company or something, but whatever. Hey, $3. So yeah, there's a nice little introduction. And the story of the Bible. It's got some illustrations. So probably come in handy. Bible almanac here. I'll kind of skim through it. Ideas and beliefs of the Bible. The land of the Bible. Religion and worship in the Bible. The long one. The language and literature of the Bible. And events in the Bible. So it kind of goes through key passages, stuff like that. Cool, that'll be interesting to look through. And then I got this intermediate conversational French. I really need the beginner's French, but hey, intermediate conversational French. Acheteur de l'eau. How to improve your French accent. Although most second-year students of French have learned to speak simple French with some skill, there are a few who would not profit by 1. A glance at the basic differences between the way we speak English and the way French is spoken, and 2. A careful study of the pronunciation of the sounds of the French language. The first step towards getting a good accent is to learn to utter words and groups of words in French without stressing some syllables and slighting others. The second step is to learn to pronounce the individual sounds of French as French people do. Specific suggestions and exercises on both points will be found on pages 193 through 203. Les origines. And it's got like a bunch of cool like illustrations from around the world, like the aqueducts, that teaches you how to say it in French. Le Pont du Gard, ancient aqueduct Roman. I know it's probably terrible. I'm kind of guesstimating here, judging by my very, very limited knowledge of French. So it starts out with all these like historical pieces of art, and then just goes straight into the conversation in French. Oh, with translation. Okay. The driver, where are you going, sir? Le chauffeur. Ah, au revoir, bonsoir. John, 13 Avenue du Palais in St. Cloud. It's near St. Cloud Bridge at the entrance to the freeway to the west. Avenue du Palais à St. Cloud. C'est près du pont de St. Cloud à l'entrée de l'autoroute de la Quest. I'm pretty sure I fucked that one up bad. Yeah, I'll have to practice this. Intermediate conversational French. Yeah, I'm gonna add to my repertoire. French toast is delicious. French chicks are hot. Yeah, I agree with that. It was like the land of sexual enlightenment, right? They have that kind of aura about them. French people are just sexier. I don't know. All right, second shot. So, see, I got well, not just me, a bunch of us got dismissed from work early today, which I wasn't complaining about because I was just tired as hell. Apparently, we were overstaffed, and so a few of us got cut, which it's okay because I'm back on there again tomorrow. So making big bucks on this special event. So it's gonna look good on the next paycheck. I'm happy about it. But for right now, I'm living with $0 on what I get for free, $3. Another, there's a piece of a cigarette, but it was one of the long ones. So, yep, I'm a scavenger. I'll get paid tonight around midnight, but I will be passed the fuck out by then. So in the morning, I can put gas in the tank, go back to work, and do it all over again, and then probably get back to my regular schedule after tomorrow, which means Friday. I'll be back at the other university because I'm working at a university right now at the special event. But the other university that I normally work at, I think I'll be back at on Friday. And back to the shelter on Saturday, which should be great. Last Saturday, we had a pretty dramatic event. Was it Sunday, rather? I ended up doing a bunch of extra hours, so it's hard to say. I think it was Saturday midnight or Saturday early morning. Yeah, it was Saturday early morning because I worked Friday night, got a few hours break, and then went in Saturday at like 2 a.m. I went in. We had a big incident at 3 a.m. and then I had to go back the following night. So yeah, that's why it's all confusing. But anyway, That person I saw again down at the bus station because I see this person on a regular basis. I felt really bad. She's always embarrassed, you know. It's like because we've had a few incidences with her and her boyfriend and shit. So it's like she remembers me now. She doesn't see her do all this fucking wacky stuff. But she was trying to get me to bring her home with me one night, and I almost thought about it, but I dodged that bullet. Dodged that bullet. Nice girl, but definitely a little zanier than I. Don't need that stuff at my house. This is why I don't bring chicks home. Why I don't bring chicks home. That was a while ago, though. Yeah, this is the stuff I got for $3. Considering I'll probably do a Patreon stream, um, as well as a Bible study. It'll probably be like accompanying Patreon stream, open panel Bible study. Um, yeah, I haven't really planned it all out, but Monday is usually supposed to be the day for that. Right now, I'm just doing everything off the cuff because my schedule is all out of whack. I'm just going yes, man, to like everything I can possibly say yes to that they offer me right now. I've been in kind of a state of indecision over what I'm going to do here, but I don't think my support structure is strong enough right now to. I think I need to remain self-sufficient, as difficult as that is. And how many hours do I get a week? Well, so typically my regular schedule is 42 to 44 hours a week. But with the call-ins and stuff I'm doing, it's closer to 50 hours a week. And I'm actually trying to increase that right now as much as I can. What's up, Silver Wolf? Good to see you. So yeah, I typically work overtime every week, and I'm trying to get more overtime. But like right now, the shifts I'm on are overtime plus bonus pay. But I just found out that the other guys who are working out there are making like $8 to $9 more an hour than me. Some of them. Now it depends on what area you get dispatched from. They got hired on at that rate, but some of them are armed. I'm not armed, so that makes a big difference as well. But the guy I was talking to today was unarmed, and he said he was making $9 more an hour than me. So I'd be like, hey, so this dude, he's commuting a bit farther than I am, but we're both on the same side of the bridge. It's like typically I work on the other side of the bridge for less money, so that doesn't add up. Doesn't make any sense. If I'm working on this side of the bridge and making more money, I might as well just keep working on this side of the bridge. So I don't know to bring that up maybe at the next company meeting when I see my boss tomorrow. He caught me doing that which I ought not to do today, so that's going to be kind of tough. My boss is a cool dude. I mean, like, pretty much everybody freaking loves the guy, and he's like, he's just like the most down to earth guy. Like, I told him like my position on the thing. Hey, I panicked because I figure, hey, this guy's gonna throw me under the bus. This is gonna cost me my position with the company. And he's like, no, you have to fuck up really fucking bad to lose your position with this company at this point. So I was like, all right, that's good to know. That's cool. Um, but at the same time, it's like he walked up on me today and I was trying to roll a cigarette and I was in a spot that I should not have been smoking. Uh, luckily, I wasn't smoking at the time. I was just rolling the cigarette, but it's obvious. So yeah, that was good fun. Always enjoy being kept on my toes. Yeah. So that's kind of my story today. And all this stuff for $3. No, it's a luxurious life. It's really not. I'm just living within my means, which is you get what you get. You don't throw a fit. Yeah. Somebody smart once taught me that. Shot three. Ready, set, go. So yeah, basically just waiting for my paycheck. I'll get my paycheck tonight. As I said, it'll probably be late once I'm already fast asleep. So that's fine. I won't be able to spend anything out of it before the morning, and I'll fill my tank and get the supplies I need and be better equipped tomorrow and make it on time. I was about 30 minutes late for my shift today. Um, I slept clear. Well, I would say I slept through. I had 3 alarms set, and when I woke up, all 3 of those alarms had been manually silenced by me. So I didn't say I missed the alarms. So I must have shut the alarms off. I was sitting upright, had no blankets on me, but yet, so yeah, when I woke up, I was already, well, I was not yet late for my shift, but I was obviously going to be late for my shift. And so I just had to slap on clothes and throw my stuff in my bag and get the hell out of here, which is what I did. And got there as quick as I could. So I got there about exactly like 29 minutes late, and then I had to get into the gate and then park in the back of the facility. So by the time I clocked in, I was like 35 minutes late. And of course, we are a company with many redundancies. I had people calling in to check on me after I was there and posted, and they're like, "Well, who's you to talk to?" I'm like, "I don't know who I talked to. I just know they put me in the back of a golf cart and they dropped me off here." And then the next thing I know, the boss's son is rolling up on me. And it's the first time we've ever actually, no, the second time we've met in person. We met the first time at the interview, very briefly. So this is the first time we've like had a formal introduction. And it wasn't like just a bunch of us in a room, like, there's the dude who, half owns the company, the company owner's son or whatever. So yeah, they work together. So it's a good deal. All right, now I had to roll this one up. So I don't have any papers in notebook paper. So it is what it is. Sometimes I do that, or I'll use receipts if they're not too dirty. Like these ones, I don't know. I don't like these ones. They have a lot of ink on them. But sometimes you'll get ones that have like a big blank spot. I'll use that piece so it doesn't have it, at least doesn't have the ink on it. But I know the paper itself is like really bad too. So I've rolled up in all kinds of stuff. I've rolled up in Bible paper. Could use some of this. No, it's all right. It's like when you're out of cigarettes, you can never seem to get enough nicotine in your system. I went the whole 10 hours today with only about 4 of these tiny rolled cigarettes. But again, it kind of forced you when you're in a position where you're out in the public and there's no smoking allowed, and you're the dude who's supposed to enforce that rule. Makes it a lot easier. Oh, Christian Carpenter has 2 jobs and 23 cows, average about 77 hours of labor a week. Well, I mean, depending on what constitutes labor, like day before yesterday, I was totally out of money, and so I ended up walking. Let's see. Well, I ended up walking about 5 miles, trying to get a payday advance that never happened. But I went through all the legwork, literally, to try and get it done. I went to the place, I went to the library, I came back here, I went back to the place, couldn't get it there, I went to the other place. Yeah, so the whole freaking shebang, right? I walked like 5 miles and got absolutely nothing out of the deal except more cigarette tobacco. Um, and I ended up buying mom sympathy, which is, essentially how I ended up making the shift today. Um, because I was just gonna hunker down at mom's house the rest of the week And then they called me in on this. So I decided to ask her just outright for a loan rather than just to give me money, which she did. Um, so yeah, now I owe mom money, which is pretty rare. It's like I'll ask my other family members for money. I don't really ask my mom for money on that like type of basis. Um, so yeah. So anyway, I don't know where it's going with that, but oh yeah, the point is, even on my day off, I ended up putting in like 5 miles of walk time and all this other stuff, plus house cleaning and stuff like that. I wouldn't call it hard labor, but I mean, not just sitting on my ass. But I walk. Well, I'm on the Google Fit tracker, so I walk at least 10,000 steps every day, just to keep up with my heart health. Of course, all the other shit I do doesn't help, but supposedly walking is supposed to help, and I like walking, and I do it for a living for the most part, like patrolling on foot. There's lots and lots of steps, so count all that in there. But I do need to get back to my strenuous exercise, strength training, and stuff like that, which I haven't really been doing lately. Um, I did a couple weeks ago. I did a set of squats, crunches, lunges, sit-ups, push-ups. I streamed after that. I was super sore for like days, and I didn't go back to working out. So my own damn fault. Should have gotten back on it. See, when I was doing this last year, I say last year now, it's been a little closer to a year and a half, I guess. Um, I had a facility I could do this, and I had a gym in there, and I had the heavy bag, and I was working the heavy bag. I couldn't maintain it. I fucked it up. That was my own damn fault. So, nobody to blame but myself. So, now I start from the ground up. Do shot number 4 for 4 viewers. Thank you. 22 minutes, I guess, 23 almost. Uh, no idea what I'm streaming about. Just I got this free stuff, the Bible Almanac, used Bible, and intermediate conversational French. I'm always excited when I get new books, especially if they're free books. I mean, I'll pay for books, but when people just leave literature outside to be found, I think that's a beautiful thing. I also get these newspapers for free, as everybody does. These are free around here. Richmond Post, pretty good local newspaper. I wanted to read this article I was reading yesterday. It was actually from last week's edition. Making borrowing easier. Amendment to state constitution could unlock billions of dollars for California housing. By Ben Christopher. Last November, 59% of voters in Berkeley wanted to give the city permission to borrow $650 million to fund affordable housing. 2 years earlier, 58% of San Diego voters supported a $900 million housing bond. 2 years before that, in 2018, commanding majorities in San Jose, 64%, Santa Rosa, 62%, and Santa Cruz County, just over 55%, turned out to back housing bonds worth hundreds of millions of dollars. All 5 measures failed. The California Constitution doesn't make it easy for local governments to issue IOUs. Not only are most types of municipal and county borrowing plans required to go before the electorate, once on the ballot, they also have to win support from at least 2/3 of the voters to pass. Now, as state lawmakers scramble to put a lid on ever-increasing housing costs, a persistent homelessness crisis, and growing public ire over both, a coalition of housing developers, union, local governments, and pro-housing groups want to lower that electoral bar for the bonds and taxes that fund affordable housing and a wide array of public infrastructure projects. The new proposed threshold, 55%, Had that standard been in place in 2018, Berkeley, San Diego, San Jose, Santa Rosa, and Santa Cruz County would have been granted the power to borrow a total of $2.26 billion. Spearheading the effort is Assembly member Cecilia Aguirre Curry. And not for the first time. The Davis Democrat has introduced a version of the bill every session since joining the legislature in 2017. It's never made it out of the Assembly, but proponents think this year could be different. The Assembly's new Speaker, Robert Rivas, has named housing a top priority and has shown an early willingness to push his preferred housing bills, even over the objections of powerful committee chairpersons. Rivas is a co-author of Aguirre Curry's bill, along with roughly half the Assembly. Aguirre Curry may also have a bit more negotiating weight to throw around this time, too. Rivas named her Speaker pro tem, his second in command, upon assuming the leadership role this summer. Meanwhile, public concern about housing has not gone away. If the proposed constitutional amendment makes it through the legislature, where it would require, what else, 2/3 of the vote to pass, it would then go before voters statewide on the November 2024 ballot. It would be in good company, alongside initiatives and referenda proposed by private citizens and interest groups. The legislature is considering a handful of other proposed constitutional changes and as many as 10 statewide bonds, including a $10 billion affordable housing measure. Aguirre Curry, who used to be the mayor of a semi-rural town of Winters, said her measure may help cure some of the defects she sees with those colossal statewide bonds that often most benefit bigger cities. When you pass some of these big-time bonds, we don't see the money, she said in an interview. Every community has different needs, but for a lot of us in rural communities, it's hard to get bonds passed. Making it easier for local governments to raise funds for affordable housing will also make it easier for those governments to compete for matching state and federal cash, said Abram Diaz, policy director for the nonprofit Housing Association of Northern California. And the article is responsible. We won't read the whole thing. As you hear, so they're trying to get, what was it again? 2.26 billion. $2.26 billion. Hello, Judy. Jody. Judy. Hey, Jody. Sunfish for fish. Cheers. Nice to see you. I don't think we've met. Welcome. Hey, Mikey. Good to see you. Oh, got Jody's comment up there. Yeah. So I found that hopeful, though. I mean, I didn't know that. I believe I voted for, but I can't remember everybody I vote for, to be quite honest. But Aguirre Curry, she's been doing that since 2017, trying to get this thing passed. And really, like, it's I don't know what they use this money for, but if nobody's going to do rent control because that's communism, right? Which I think it'd just be easier to do rent control. Why ask the government for money? If we place caps on the rental prices, then all of the homeowners, what are they going to do? They're going to sell off their real estate? Like, they're going to just leave the state. Like, that's what we already have. We have vacant houses that people won't rent out because apparently they can afford their mortgages, but they don't have enough people to rent to, right? But they keep the properties. They're vacant. Like, that's been a fucking problem. It's been a problem for a long time. We've got a bunch of vacant houses and people who can't afford to live in them. And it makes no fucking sense whatsoever. So they got to do something. I don't know. It's just my opinion, man. So whatever they're throwing this money at, go for it. Go for it. We're building, like, what they have now. The place that I'm working is basically an old, like, converted, like, apartment building or a motel or whatever. And so they have separate dorms. And so they have people who go through this program. And if you're homeless and you're trying to get into a place, they say, hey, okay, come over here. We'll get you into a temporary shelter. You got to share a dorm with like 5 other people, right? You stay at that temporary shelter, go through this program for a period of time. And then once you graduate through the program, You move on up to the next tier, then you get your own room, and you have to volunteer. That's part of the deal. As part of the program, you have to volunteer. You have your own room. You know, hypothetically, by this time you've gained employment and stuff like that, right? So you're starting to make some money. You can squirrel some money away. And then you go on from having your own room to your own apartment. And this is all fully subsidized. It's rent free, right? All you have to do is show up on time, do your volunteer work, and don't, you know, do anything that you ought not be doing in the fucking shelter. You know, it's a fairly simple program for people who can maintain that type of program. But I understand why some people can't. Like, look at me, right? I'm not gonna go in there, have some security guard search my bag because I want to have a drink after I come home from work. I wouldn't do that. But sometimes you gotta. Cheers. This is shot 5, and we got 5 viewers. Helps me keep count. Thank you. I mean, I might do it. I got close at the end of my room. Oh, 7 viewers? What's up? What's up? Yeah, I'm smoking a bowl too. I'm gently nursing this bowl I've had since I've got just a little bit more bud left. I'm doing it in small portions. So yeah, I mean, we've got this shelter in place, and you know it's a good program, but there's one for the whole fucking city. There's one place like that, right? And it's a big fucking city. It's not a small town. It's a big city. So we need more of those types of programs in place. We're going to get people up off the streets and get them to be self-sufficient again through whatever means they, you know, whatever circumstances they're in. Like I've seen a lot of people go through this. Either they rise and they become self-sufficient over a number of months, and then I pretty much don't hear from them anymore. Talking to you, you know who you are, or or they fall back down. They end up back out on the streets. They get kicked out of the program. Then, you know, potentially, depending on the severity of it, they may end up being eligible to go back at some point, or they may be banned for a long time, which is rough. Because if you get banned from that program in this one city, you can't do it in the whole county, right? So we do have several facilities in the county, but kind of the way it works is if you graduate, you move from one city out to the other city. And then, so they only have like one type of each facility. They have the communal living in the one area, and then they have the private residences in the next area. And you have to move over there. And I saw a guy last night before I left who told me he had just got kicked back up to the private residences. And so because of that, it was like, oh yeah, it's great. I have my own apartment, but there's fewer buses that are running out there this time of night after I get off work. I totally get that. I could totally relate. Because that's the situation I'm in. There are no buses running out here after I get off work. Zero, zilch. It would take me longer to ride public transit home from work at night on my regular schedule than it would for me to fucking walk. And it's a long fucking walk. Okay. And it would cost me a lot of money. Got to go through San Francisco. The time you go through San Francisco, it's going to cost you a lot of money. Do I have a link? Yeah, I have. I don't know how good I'm going to sound, but give it a shot. No idea how long we should be running this. Oh yeah, I left my earbuds here this morning, which drove me. Oh, I have no idea how hard it is for me to not listen to my audio stuffs while I'm out and about. Yeah, it's brain totally. I forgot how bad that was. All right, So I'll put an earbud in maybe. If anybody comes in. To avoid the echo. Interesting. It's not even fully charged. Oh my goodness, what is this weird? Huh? What happened? Something happened. Oh, okay. I know what that was. I thought it was something else. Oh my gosh, it's an email. What does it all mean? I get so many emails. It's ridiculous. I hate emails. Make sure my settings are correct. It looks like everything should be okay. Well, hopefully that's good enough. Let me know if I need to fix anything. Welcome, Mikey. How's it going, buddy?
Hey, how's it going, Trusty? Good to see you, my brother.
All right. Looks like it didn't go to my Bluetooth again. I was having this problem on Silverstream, so see if I can.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I just saw a message from Silver. She said, I would join, but I'm eating right now and feel brain dead at the moment with my brain cells running around. Well, Silver, when you feel comfortable, please, our friend, our sister, come on up. Yeah, you were talking about vacant homes, and uh, I was under the impression that if the local government, especially the mayor in the area there, if they've got homes available, why can't they go ahead and allow the homeless to take those homes, the vacant residences, and just pay like an equivalent rent fee if they're giving free dollars away? Do you understand what I'm saying? It's a worthy solution if they can. Oh, you're welcome, Silver. Yeah, if they've got a vacant residence available, put a few homeless people there, maybe like a family of four, five. Uh, pay an equivalent fee, maybe not for a house, but what you would normally pay for an apartment, but they could reduce it, because it's a low income family, and they could pay for that, for that house, that small house, uh, and be able to become self sufficient. I figured that's a good solution. Got a lot of if they have a lot of vacant places like that. I know they do that in the Southwest sometimes, but they feel like it's not cost worthy, or you know what I'm saying?
Well, the thing is, so there's two factors. Like the one thing is these homes, for the most part, they are privately owned. So in that instance, you're going to be taking the property from the homeowner who's kind of refusing to lease it out, right?
Oh,
You're going to
okay,
be
all right,
overriding that person's property rights. So
yeah,
that's
sure,
one thing.
okay,
But this has been done. I wish I could pull the story. This was done just a few years ago in
yeah,
the city of Oakland, where I was
nice,
living with my son. So what happened was they had one of these vacant homes, big Victorian home,
yeah,
and two single mothers, I believe it was, either way, two women with children, ended up moving into the home while it was vacant, changing the locks and establishing residence there. And
sure,
so they ended up getting served with an eviction notice, but the mayor, the city actually stepped in and made it so that they could keep the place. But that was like groundbreaking and controversial. It hadn't been done before.
Huh. That's interesting.
Yeah, that just happened just within the last couple of years.
Wow. Yeah, because from what I heard down in Arizona, um, where I used to live, now I'm in Canada with, Suzanne. But when we were down in Arizona, there was a situation when they had the homeless there. They had their own zone, right, which is in the capital in Phoenix. And one of the solutions that the government, that the governor himself, and a few other people in Phoenix City Council thought that if there were any small type homes, maybe like a one bedroom home or even like 2 bedroom home size that were vacant, that the person was evicted because they couldn't pay rent or a mortgage or they moved out, that they could put some homeless people in there and give them the equivalent of rent, that you would normally put on an apartment, but it would be reduced by at least 50%, maybe even 75%, to make it affordable so that the person could live there and then be able to find a nice, decent job, with construction or something, and then be able to afford that, that little residence for themselves.
So one
That
of the
they,
main difficulties, I mean, aside from just high rent, is deposit price. A lot of places they want 3 times your rent for deposit. They want first and last months,
that's
plus,
right.
and so that's something that most people can't muster. I mean, a lot of people have to get a loan just to pay a
Oh my
deposit, and
God,
then you'll
we
have to
couldn't
pay
even.
this back.
Right, even well, even wow, yeah, even 6 years ago. Well, now it's going to be almost almost 6 years ago, when my wife and I left Arizona. The apartment we were living in was a 1 bedroom apartment. Now, granted, this was in a higher income area known as Scottsdale, which is outside of Phoenix. So we I was paying, before I got married, I was paying still about almost $900 a month, just to afford to live there, and then I would pay for my rent, for my what do they call it? The electricity, water, all that stuff. So when Suzanne came in it with me, I was still working 2 jobs. She was helping with her disability checks that she would get once a month, and it was still too expensive to live there because they were going to start raising our rent. So by the time we got ready to leave, the rent was going to be almost $1,300 a month. But like I said, that didn't include electricity, it didn't include water, trash, everything else that they would add on. So you can only imagine how much, you know, and that's 3 incomes basically. And they're telling
I
you that
feel
you
like
need to have, yeah, it's ridiculous.
I
Yeah.
feel like that's one of the worst practices for renters is that they raise the rent of a consistent tenant after a period of time where it's like, if this person has been consistent on time and paying you and keeping the place in good order, then if anything, you should reduce the rent, not raise it after that period of time. You know what I mean? Like this is less of a
Oh,
liability to you, but
I
no, it's
yeah, yeah. What I think they should do is establish a uh, rent range for those that are loyal payers. That pay their rent on time, they pay their bills on time, and they should be set with one type of rent amount, and it should be affordable enough for at least 2 incomes, and especially in families. And I don't think that a lot of these, and I'm not just talking, like I said, about Arizona or like the Bay Area or anything like that. I'm talking all the way across the country. They're just not thinking ahead, for that far enough ahead. If they were able to determine a nice, decent and affordable rent range for people they know will be able to pay their rent on time and so forth, they'd be able to get a lot more homeless, back off the streets, and these people would be have to drive enough to, find decent work, be able to pay their bills, and then there would be less. Like I said, there'd be less trash, less homeless, less crime, But these councils, I think it really does come down to the city council. It's not just the governor of the state, it's the city council. And the city councils just do not think that far ahead when it comes to finances. And it's so beneficial if you're able to get, let's say, 10 people off the street, give them a vacant home or a vacant little apartment that's still available. The landlord could charge you a very small percentage of rent, maybe half the rent that he normally would charge, you know, higher income bracket people, and they'd be able to be like you said, self sufficient. But nobody thinks that far ahead. That's unfortunate. It really is.
Well, and on that level, and I know this applies to pretty much every province. So we have the state constitution, which kind of supersedes whatever any local municipality wants to do. They have to abide by the state constitution, and that's what they're trying to do is have that constitution amended, right? But and it's like so we've got the federal guideline, and then we've got whatever your local state constitution is, and then you've got people in the lower tiers in smaller communities trying to work within those boundaries and still receive funding. But it's like some of
Right.
these places, especially in California, I mean, there's some of the highest earning, per capita areas, right, that cannot receive funding because of some red tape that's in the Constitution up above.
It just seems like there's a lot more red tape than is deemed necessary, which is quite which is quite ridiculous. It's I just see so many people suffering right now, and my parents say, well, there's nothing the state can do. I said, yes, there is a lot they can do. They just don't want to do anything about it. It's an eyesore. Uh, Somebody was telling me the other day that they they have this app, okay, for the Bay Area, of areas. I mean, just in the city, just in San Francisco, where shit is laying on the ground, and they say, well, they have an app for this. Well, that's ridiculous. You shouldn't even create something like that. You should be trying to help the poor people that are still out there on the streets, to find some place to live. I mean, it's not. I mean, I know it's on the peninsula, but for Christ's sake, you gotta find them some place to live, some place, home. You know,
Well,
it's
at the very least, I mean, I think, you just pointed out one of the biggest problems is like it's not just a place to live, but the bathrooms are locked. They are under coded locks. You can't use and they lock the porta potties in a lot of places. It's like, and then people talk trash about San Francisco because they're trying to put facilities out there, but it's like because we don't want more poop on the streets. We don't need a where's the poop app. We need to give this person a place to empty the whatever, relieve
yeah,
themselves.
refuse. Right,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, no, it's silly, man. Somebody pointed out the app to me, Kevin. I was like, are you serious? I have never heard that about a city in my life, and to know it was my original hometown just makes me even feel worse. Makes me feel sad. It really does. I just I can't fathom it. I I think about it and I'm like, no, this no, city would not do this to their people, and yeah, it's ridiculous. And you had a good point too, where like if they decide that they're going to put out more of the what they call outhouses, or like the porta johns or whatever, but then you got lots of people trying to use those too, and will the city, uh the sanitation departments or things like, will they bell down and decide, okay, finally we're going to go ahead and clean up this crap, and whatever it's there? I don't know, man. Unless they get paid more money, I don't think they're even going to touch half of those facilities, even if they put out free ones out there. And then to lock up others is ridiculous. Yeah, absolutely bad.
Yeah, then you have to have somebody clean them. I mean, and I think that's part of the good idea of like the center that I'm at is that they have the porta john out there. It's available during business hours, but the people who volunteer there, who are receiving services there, are the people who clean that facility. So there's no other sanitation company coming in or whatever other than just to drain it out. But
Right.
if it gets trashed, it's the people who work
So
there who have to clean it up.
yeah, so they don't use any independent uh, garbage or sanitation company. They're going to do it all themselves. Is that what you're saying?
Right, right.
Oh man, wow. Well, you know
But
what?
they
If they
do it. They
if
do it. They do it by maintaining a roster of volunteers who are coming in every day. Those people, like I said, they're the same people who are receiving services, but in order to get you have to volunteer to a certain level to kind of maintain your status.
right to receive those services, they want you in equivalent in a like manner. They want you to help out with the cleaning and of the facilities and stuff.
Yeah,
Is that
so
what
it's
they're
just
saying?
helping to teach accountability, I guess, um the the lower
At the
level, I
at the
guess.
base level, yeah, at the base
Yeah.
level, right? Yeah, you know what I feel bad for volunteers. We up here in Canada, well, in our section of Canada, Toronto here, we're in Scarborough, as I told you, we're in a suburb, but it's isolated. This area used to have pretty good food bank facilities, but now they've changed a lot of the rules because it only takes a couple people to screw things over for others. And so we're lucky because we get, uh, our disability payment, we get paid each month, has gone up a little bit. So we're okay with that. But the thing is, we can't, we used to be able to go out and do, a food bank like once a week. And, if we needed some necessary, food and drink and whatever. And now we can't even do that because they've changed the rules about, they want to make sure you live where you are, and they want to do double checks on your identity, and you know uh, if you deserve this, whatever your whatever payment you make a month and everything. Like, so it's getting to be all bureaucratic red tape bullshit, and I'm just like, what? You're going to end up having more people suffering, um, begging out there. All they're doing is adding to the problem. They're not resolving anything, you know.
But to clarify though, wait, the food banks, I don't know where you're at, are the food banks, they're privately operated, right? By
The
churches
yeah
or
the
some kind of institution, not the
Yeah,
government.
right. The food banks here in Canada are run by nonprofit. Yeah, usually by church groups, Catholic Church and other church facilities, and other religions. They have their own uh, type of organization that takes care of the problem. And
Right.
but yeah, but now because of the council and rules that are being changed in regards to homeless people and into those that need, and disabled people like ourselves, it's going to make it harder. And I just I'm at a loss. You know what I mean? It just and it's good. Like I say, it's just going to add more homeless to the streets that we already have. It's just going to make things worse, and the things like that are already going on down in the states. And you know, like you said, you'll probably find a homeless person every couple steps that you walk. On a street corner. Uh, it's going to get that worse. It's going to get bad. So yeah, it's very scary time right now, Trusty. It really is. Oh, hey, William, big love monkey. William
Yeah.
Freeman is
Big,
down there. Hey, William.
big love back at you, Wayne.
Yep,
Um,
big love, William.
yeah, and please do join if you care to.
Yeah, please, William,
Talking
and Silverwolf, who's over there, Joe Day, any of you people that were down there. Yeah, come on up. Yeah.
no, I passed it.
Now,
I'll just
are you now, Trusty? Do you live in a Well, I don't mean to ask this. I hope I'm not offending you, but do you live in low income like we do? We live in a low income apartment building, so
um no, so I just rent privately, but I am in the low income bracket. I just don't qualify for any type of assistance because
okay,
of my income.
yeah,
But I get a good deal on my room where I'm at. I have
oh
no
good,
complaints about that. But
awesome,
I have to live with roommates. I can't afford my own place, even though they tell me I should be able to. I guess, that's kind of the deal. So,
yeah. I think it's a good idea. Like I say, Suzanne and I we share one disability payment, which thank God it's affordable and we can we're in what they consider a bachelor pad. Okay, it's not even a one bedroom. It's just a huge oversized like a studio apartment. We've got our bathroom, bathtub, all the and a spare closet, which is great. Uh, my wife said that if we weren't on disability, because we pay a very low rent, each month, and which includes everything, which is nice, electricity and everything. The only thing we really pay for is if we, with our phone, we pay a phone fee each month, and then we also, we take care of our internet, the best we can, whatever the Wi-Fi and everything is. Um, but that being said, if you were going to try to live in one of these type of apartments that we have here, your starting rent would be about $1,500 a month, and that's if you're by yourself. Which is just insane, and which usually, if you're going to share with someone, you know, feel like you have to share with someone that you trust, right? With a few roommates, and that does help as long as all of you are able to, contribute your part of the rent, or whatever they require. Yeah.
yeah, and it's kind of similar here. I mean, I would be paying twice as much if I was to get my own, single unit um, per month. And it's really, I have good roommates, so it's not an inconvenience for me. I mean, I've had a lot of trouble with roommates in the past, so I was very skeptical, but this has been a good relationship so far. So I'm like, okay, stick with it. But at the same time, I'm thinking, when I came of age, I was looking at studio apartments for rent for the same price I'm paying now for a room, right?
Yeah. Right.
Um, and I was making minimum wage back then, and
Oh
that
yeah.
was before all the other debt I've incurred. But still,
It's
it's like, okay, considering I'm making a bit more money now. Um, so I tried to like average it out, and I was like, this doesn't. Um, the inflation doesn't compute, right? Like the income inflation versus the rent inflation. It's like the rent has doubled, but the income has gone
or
up by
tripled. Right,
yeah.
or the rent has tripled, which is absolutely nuts, dude. It is absolutely insane. Uh, Back in the day, I could afford a nice, decent apartment by myself for less than $800 a month, which seems like a lot, but it really wasn't. I mean, this is like 10 years ago or something like that, and it was adaptable, to a job. I was working a nice, decent job, making decent wages, and was able to afford it, and I didn't have to worry about so much, of how much to pay each month because I knew once I was taken care of, I could save, I could put stuff, I could do everything, and it wasn't a big deal. Well, now it's like, like I said, uh, when Suzanne and I were sharing a one bedroom, we already had three incomes coming in basically, but now they're asking three incomes for one person. I mean that they're asking one person to work three jobs minimum because they're asking for they want you to make three times your normal wage, whatever the wage is, just to afford to stay in an apartment. and how much they charge for rent. And the rent has dramatically gone up. I'm sure you know that. It's gone to the point where these people are, where people who might have just lost their job recently, with COVID-19, there was hundreds upon thousands of people that lost their job, and in a heartbeat, it was gone. You know, Normal individual small businesses mostly, and they were like, okay, now what the fuck do we do? And it's like, where are we going to live? What are we going to do? It's so sad that the governments itself, and like I said, even the councils of the cities all across the country, and even up here in Canada now, are having these same problems as you guys down there. And it's like they can't accommodate. Why? Why can't they do that? And you know that most of the free dollars you were talking about, they'll probably go to the wrong people. They won't go to the organizations or the people that really need help. That's the unfortunate thing. Is how the funds are funneled down. Trickling down to people that really need it, but they won't get it. Right? I mean, it just yeah.
Yeah, because it seems like they end up going to like property owners and corporations and stuff like that. It doesn't go to people who are trying to get into housing, which is kind of the point there. Like, as long as you just keep giving property owners more money, it's not incentivizing them. They're like, oh, well, we can just make more. Um, so the incentive here is no, you can make less. I mean, really, um, there's a I read something somewhere that said basically that the average landlord makes like 300% profit or something. It's ridiculous on what they're actually paying for their unit and their upkeep versus what they're charging. Like they're
Right.
making a substantial, this huge measurable profit off of each property, and most of them own multiple properties. And so these
Yes.
people are just like independently wealthy by virtue of having space, and that's
Right.
all it is. They own space.
They own space, which is unfortunate because there's nobody in there. Uh, Yeah, even Silverwolf says my landlord sucks over here. I agree with you, Silver. New England is not much better because you're in Boston and they got the same situations out there. You know what happens is that landlords, property owners, like you said, get a percentage given to them by the city itself to maintain a a portion of their apartment houses or vacant land that they want to put home, small places there to live, townhomes and things like that. And they have to maintain a percentage of people in these places. They have to. It's a quota. They're required to have that. But as long as they can, skirt the books and find loopholes and do what needs to be done to look like they're maintaining that percentage, they'll still make money and the poor will still suffer. And that is exactly what's happening right now. It's the saddest. I have never seen apartment owners, and this is true. I saw started seeing this like 10 years ago. I've never seen apartment owners that are more greedy than they are now, and it's getting even worse. That's why landlords suck. Yeah. Oh, that's interesting. Not only that, but mine is chicken shit stuff in the house. Oh
Yeah, I mean,
God,
I don't know
Silver.
about the state laws over there, but like I know from my experience over here, there's a reason sometimes they will do that so they can try to avoid liability later because they can say, "Hey, we as the landlord are responsible for maintaining certain things within the house, like cooking and lighting fixtures and stuff like that. So if I come inside and I find out that anything out of order, the stove doesn't work, there's something wrong with the plumbing, if I know about it and I don't have it repaired, then I am negligent as a landlord, right? But if I never
Right.
step foot inside the house, I can claim that I never knew. And so they just try to like step around it that way. And a lot of people are afraid to tell their landlords they need repairs. But it's like that's their job. You're not supposed to pay out of pocket for those repairs. When you
Right.
rent, that comes with the deal. They repair all those major appliance issues or plumbing issues or things like that.
Well, that's the thing is that in both countries, a lot of these owners do not want to pay for maintenance people. I know in our own building we have less than maybe five total people that are taking care of this building. And this building used to be, a place for nursing. It used to be like a nursing home, and now it's just a 17-story apartment building. For less fortunate people that do drugs that I don't think deserve. You know, to be fair, I mean some of them do really worse drugs. I think marijuana is okay because most people have to use it for medicinal, so I don't judge. But I'm just saying that there's people that maybe are taking advantage, uh, abusing the privilege of being able to live in a place like ours where we are, and and I see that every and I think what the landlords need to do, first of all, is hire some more maintenance workers to help. Pay them a really decent wage so that they can afford to live where they go, where they live, because maintenance people usually are worse off than most of the people that, other than the homeless that don't have a home at all or, four walls around them. But they should take care of their maintenance help. And then, like you said, make sure that the apartment owners don't have to pay out of pocket at all. Make sure that if there's a major problem, the landlord and the maintenance people will take care of it. No problem at all. And if it's a part of the rent, that's fine. Well, then just make it like a percentage of it. Like you're already paying for, like I said, now you're paying for rent, but also you're paying for your electricity to keep the lights on in the building. You're paying for your phone so you can actually be able to talk to people. If there is a problem, and you can call the landlord and say, "Oh, yay! My oven is dead, or my stove can't work, or maybe they have a built-in microwave in your apartment and the microwave's dead, or I'm not getting anything, to help me," and they can take care of that. But that's the thing when the uh, owners, property owners, rich property owners, and apartment owners, townhome owners, when they feel like they're going to get dollars to try to put people in the room in the places in the homes or whatever, and then they like keep a lot for themselves, barely do the bare minimum. um, that's where more people suffer, and there should be a law against that. um, there should be a uniform law that says that a landlord is responsible for every single facet of the building they own and everyone who stays there. And they have an ultimate responsibility for every single resident. And if they don't do it, then fire that landlord or have that company get rid of that person and find somebody else that will take care of people, and take care of their problems. And that just doesn't happen. So, yeah, it's unfortunate.
That's well, that's another thing I like that we do have here, but I know it's particular to my estate. But we do have a precedent where any tenant, if they incur expenses, like say they have to have a leaky pipe repaired or something like that, they can do that, obtain the receipt, and then take it back to the landlord. If the landlord refuses to either reimburse them or deduct that from their rent, then the tenant can take the landlord to court. But
The
again,
legal
that's a
action,
California
right?
thing. Yeah.
Yeah, right, right. I think we have something. I think they had something similar back in Arizona. It was what they called the Landlord Act, which said that if a landlord was held responsible for is held responsible for anything, um, like if there's if there's pipes that burst on their property, say from, they're trying to run their sprinklers or something like that, and something bursts, the landlord is by law required to fix the property, to fix whatever the problems are. And if it is a major issue, of saying like something goes down, say like in a whole section or something like that, they are supposed to take care of that. They are responsible. They have to do that. It's by law. And yeah, I mean, the residents can take them to court for pretty much anything. The only thing that I see that residents really usually take care of it for themselves. Like you said, if a light bulb goes out, they'll change it. They'll just go ahead and buy a light bulb at the store or whatever, and they'll change it. If a battery goes out, say like from a radio or something like that, they'll go and buy their own radio battery or things like that, and they'll take care of that. The major issue is if they have, like in Arizona, they have problems with what they call the bees, the Africanized killer bees. And if there's a nest in your apartment somewhere or close by or your patio, that landlord is held liable and responsible to call the local bee facility or the you know the Arizona Entomological Institute. They come out and clear held liable for that. That is the responsibility
Been doing so well up until now, but
of the landlord.
So, but
yeah,
okay, yeah,
the
they were just saying that's
renters,
like a health and safety issue.
Yeah.
Like I can see that with any type of like significant health and safety issue. Like if you have a rat or a roach infestation, same thing. If you're renting, it's the onus is on the landlord or the property manager, or if you have a broken window, that's a hazard to your health and safety. You could get sick from a draft. Somebody could come into your place. Like all kinds of things could happen from having a broken out window. And the landlord or property manager is responsible for that. And
Right.
In some places, like I said, the same thing applies here to say your heating and air conditioning, or whether or not you have facilities to wash and cook in. You have to have good running water, you have backup plumbing. All those things fall on the property manager rather than the tenant. Now, if you're a homeowner, that's a different story. That's all on you, right?
Yeah, so that's on you, right? Because you own the property, right? It's not just.
And they can actually condemn you, and in some cases even take your children if you don't live up to those standards. If you own the home, things like that. So
as a homeowner, yeah. But even but even like I said, even besides rent, even now, my parents have already noticed that even though they own their home, well, partly because one of my sisters owns them, so it's kind of shared. But even with that, they're noticing that their mortgage even goes up now too. So it seems almost like a uniform kind of increase, with rent, with mortgages, with leases. Everything is getting ridiculous. It's getting out of hand. And there's not a lot of people that nowadays. I mean, have you noticed that the deficit between the rich and the poor it's probably been the largest deficit of two classes. There's no more middle class. Middle class doesn't even exist anymore. It's amazing. It just it's the largest deficit we've ever that anyone has ever seen in like what 20 years, something like that. It's just insane. It's crazy.
I guess I'm of the generation where I read about it, but I've never actually seen. I've never seen not the deficit. I'm just used to it. So
right. Yeah, no, I've been on the. I feel like I've been away with for a long time, but actually, I kind of look at my situation and I say, I'm actually, Suzanne and I are doing actually a lot better than a large portion. I mean, like lots of people that are suffering out there right now. We're just blessed because we have a roof over our heads, and every day we thank ourselves. But then we realize there are other people are not, they're less fortunate and they're just suffering. I just don't like seeing people like that, because that way one time. I actually lived out of my truck one time for like a week between apartments because I ran into some financial troubles and I couldn't afford anything. I mean, anything. And my folks had to get me back on a fixed budget, situation so that I could afford a place. And then I had to find I had to make sure I kept my job that I was still doing at the time. Hey, Gap. It's Gap After Dark. Hey, buddy. What's up?
Hey, Gab, good to see
And
you.
yeah, and Silverwolf was saying exactly. We have told ours multiple times of how old my home is, but we were forced to pay out of pocket to fix shit. So mine is lazy chicken shit. I'm sorry to hear that, Silver. Yeah, it happens a lot. I mean, it's just yeah, and as Trusty and I were talking about, it is when it's a whole huge different story when you're a homeowner and you have your own house or little vacant house or like a one bedroom or something like that, which you're responsible for, as opposed to renters that rent out the townhomes or the other small crappy apartments that some of us live in. You know, just to survive, and yeah, it's hard, it's difficult.
So, do you think? What do you think the ultimate like? What do you think the best solution is? Like, do you think putting it down to the local governments to take that money and use it as they see fit? Do you think that would be workable, or is that like is that too much
Well,
like?
no, I think the solution I was trying was that instead of relying on the federal government for assistance, I think it needs to come down to the base, uh, city councils, in big cities, the ones that suffer, LA, San Francisco, Detroit, New York City, Phoenix, Dallas. A lot of these big cities now are starting to see worse homeless problems than they've ever seen in a century, probably. And I think what they need to do is have the councils talk with, local property owners, uh, landlords, renters, leases, so forth, and see if they can come up with a uniform price range, for the, much lower income families, and still charge the rich people what you charge them, but with the lower income, reduce it by more than half of what you would charge a rich person, and have them still be able to, have some dignity, uh, pay them only have them pay their lease or rent in a much smaller amount, but affordable, that will still, make their business, viable, or their place where they live,
Well,
right?
there's
And
gonna
then
be. I
they
mean,
can,
there's gonna be issues with that, though. I mean, you can't like charge one guy 800 a month on the same block as you charge the other guy, 1800 a month. Like that's going to reduce the property value all over, right? So
well,
unless you
yeah,
reduce the value of all those properties, it wouldn't necessarily work out that way. I don't know. Like,
I
so,
know, but I mean, but the thing is, reducing the property value should be secondary, issue. Excuse me. Sorry about that. I tried to stop myself. um, no, that should be a secondary thing. If, what I'm trying to say is, if the landlord owner, if he's already making decent money by charging a high amount of rent for those that can afford to live there, and probably just live with one income, if they can do that, there should be set aside just a smaller portion, for those that might have a hard time paying rent, but you would like them to have a place to live so they don't have to live on the street. I know, and it's difficult to have It seems like an imbalance, but I think it's feasible. I think it's possible um, that they can come up with something like that. I thought about that myself a lot of years ago when I was, in less than desirable housing. When I was living in smaller areas, I thought they could come up with something like that. And yeah, I wish they could, but yeah, yeah, I know there's a lot of complications with that.
I think one thing we could do now, we already kind of have a system in place here for like a voucher program, and they give away thousands of dollars, per person, per family, um, every month to have people stay temporarily in hotels. Where is you could lump that up into the sum of like a
Oh, you
deposit
mean, yeah, you mean
on
like,
apartment.
right, Kev, you mean like they get 1,000, okay, say for example, they get $1,000 voucher, homeless voucher, and say they can use that voucher to put them up in a local motel. It doesn't have to be a 4-star or 5-star hotel. It can be just like, maybe at least a 3-star or maybe 2-star motel, facility, say like a Super 8 or yeah, Super 8 or a Motel 6, something like that. And they can take that voucher and cash, you know, and just, the motel, the hotel owner can say, okay, I can only take cash with this, to pay for your room, to try to get yourself established. And let's say they can use uh, a motel room. Let's say they can rent it for a month. Give them a decent voucher amount so they can rent it for a month. And then while they know they've got a place to live, they'll find a nice job or at least something affordable, has a decent wage. Even if it's minimum wage, they can find something good, and then they can keep paying the motel or hotel owner to stay there until they're able to afford their own apartment, say like a bachelor pad or something. And then they can go and have that own place and still have their job. That would be viable. That does sound viable to me. Yeah, if they could do something like that. It would definitely get more people off the street, for sure. Hotels and hotels that offer that type of facility. Yeah, I totally agree on.
100% agree with that.
Yeah, that's a good system in place. I hope they do something like that up here.
I thought
I
it
hope
was
they.
easier to get housing assistance up there. Maybe I'm mistaken.
Well, in Canada, it's like I said, in Canada here, for at least for now, it's based on. It's definitely based on income and how much you can afford. To pay. If you're on disability, they're going to give you a set amount so that you can live on disability and live comfortably. Because you're disabled. If you're not, they'll try to find you affordable uh, homes to rent, maybe just to lease. Uh, like side homes that they have on their property. Uh, I lived in a rental home uh, with just two. Uh, Back when I was living in Oklahoma, I was in a rental house, and I paid a landowner for this house that was there. I paid a lease on it, and which was like rent. I did that with my parents' house when they used to live over in North Phoenix before they moved over to Scottsdale. I rented out their place and paid for it on a lease process too. Um, that's something that it looks like that's what they're doing here, at least in our part of Canada, in Eastern Canada. They're trying to do that to avoid, a lot more homeless and so forth. So yeah, but like I said, they're also uh, making rules and restrictions. They're placing more rules and restrictions on, you know, on your food, what you can afford to eat. People might have a place to live, but these people might also not have enough food to eat or enough, drink or enough things to buy, necessary grocery items, and that's what I think is happening with the food banks, also because they're nonprofit, and there's very few volunteers, right? It's a lack of volunteership. So that could be the other reason why the food banks are doing what they do. But that's just our area. I'm not sure if that covers the rest of Canada, but I know for us that's why they're doing it. So hopefully they don't do something like that down there. If it gets worse.
Got you.
Yeah.
All right. Well, very, very good thoughts. I like to stay solution oriented. I think we did a bit of that. I liked your ideas here. I got my 7 o'clock alarm now, so 7 p.m. I have to get out of here and do laundry and such. So yeah, good time for a wrap up, I guess, and we should definitely resume this conversation. I think it's a good one. I don't know. It's something that's important to me. I'm trying to decide my own, future here, as far as my housing and stuff like that. So my career. But anyway,
Sure.
uh,
Run this again. And I was gonna say, oh yeah, and oh yeah, no, I was just gonna say, um, Silver was just telling us. She said we run on water bottles because the town isn't fixing their nasty water pipes. That's really sad, Silver. You really do need to consult with the local water agency, find out why they're neglecting that, because that's ridiculous. You should be able to have safe running water coming from your sinks, your pipes, and whatever.
yeah,
Um,
that's some Aaron Brockovich shit right there.
yeah, that's a lot of crap right there. Yeah, Gap, you too. Have a great one, sir. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah. We
have a
have
good one, yeah. Thank you.
yeah,
Um,
Trusty. Yeah,
but
we have. Don't forget, we have our topic time. My topic time that comes up my live stream on Friday, just after
Friday.
9 p.m. Stern. Yeah, which is 6 o'clock your time. You're more than welcome to come by and we can talk about the situation there with our panel and stuff. That would be awesome.
Yeah, excellent. Yeah, I have to try and.
Yeah,
Also, do you have anything going on Monday?
yeah. Monday. Well, Monday I just do a webcam review of Charlie's Angels. I do this twice a week now. I do it Mondays and Wednesdays around 3:30 p.m. Eastern Standard
Okay.
Time. Yeah, it's just a webcam. So if you've got something going on Monday, let me know or set out a notification, and I'll come by.
Yeah, I'll probably wait till after your stream, maybe.
Oh,
Yeah,
cool.
probably. So
Yeah,
yeah,
let
that'd
me
be
know.
cool.
Yeah,
Mm,
yeah. Send me a message, or you know what, come by Friday and join us. And if you're gonna do something for Monday, and I can let people know, and then we'll come by on Monday with you.
excellent. Yeah, sounds good, man.
Awesome.
All right. Well, it's good to see everyone in the chat. Had the Christian Carpenter gaming with Silverwolf, Joe Day. Who else we have here? Sunfish for Fish. Nice to meet you.
Gap after
Um,
dark. Gap after dark. Yeah.
and Gap After Dark. Yes. And thank you. Oh, William Freeman.
And
Can't
William
forget.
Freeman.
Can't
Yeah.
forget William.
Right.
Uh, big love to everybody. Be well, stay trusty, and all that jazz. And hopefully we'll see you Monday. And yeah, don't forget to visit Mikey's stream Friday. You
Yep.
said 3 p.m. Central, 3
No.
p.m. Eastern.
Friday. No. Friday. This coming Friday will be topic time 6. It'll start at 9 p.m. Eastern
Oh,
time. So it'll
9
be
p.m. Eastern.
9 p.m. Eastern, right? Which will be 6 o'clock Pacific time, 7 Mountain, 8 Central, and then on Monday at 3:30 p.m. Eastern, check out my webcam on Charlie's Angels reviews. I do that Mondays and Wednesdays at 3:30 p.m. Eastern.
Excellent. Confusing everybody. All right, and signing off. Good night and good luck.
12:30
What time?
Pacific, 1:30 Mountain.